We had planned to do a different video to this today, but now a problem has presented itself. You right, Andy?
Yeah.
And that problem, put very simply, is he's just got home from school about half an hour ago. Everything was fine. And then 5 minutes or so ago, he realised he'd left his DS in the taxi. He is really, really not happy about it at all. Those of you who've been around for a while will know that his DS is what he uses as like his lens to view the world. He records a lot of the stuff as he goes around all day. Kind of relies on it. It's a bit of a crutch to see the world through. He's obsessed with it to carry on from yesterday's sort of theme. He needs it. Made all the worse by the fact it's Friday and there's just no way we could wait until Monday to get it back. Further complications. The taxi people who, because he left it in the taxi, the taxi people are in Lincoln, which is a 2-hour drive away from where we are. Now, luckily, and I didn't realise this until we just spoke to them on the phone, and it's not quite that bad, because we thought we were going to have to phone them and ask them to come back. They're probably halfway back to Lincoln, we're going to have to ask them to come back. It turns out the driver actually lives locally, takes the PA halfway, where she gets out, is dropped off, and someone else picks her up, and she goes the rest of the way back to Lincoln. So I contacted her, she's contacted him because he'd already dropped her off. The DS is still in his taxi. He's now heading back to where he lives, and he's then going to come back to us once he gets there and should be here inside about an hour. He's taken it remarkably well. Bearing in mind, a few months ago his iPad broke and he just completely shut down. He was just basically curled up like a ball on the sofa. He's doing okay.
Yeah, iPad coming. DS is coming.
Yeah, DS is coming. It's going to be here. It's not in school, it's still in the taxi. You left it in the taxi.
Yeah.
So it's 4 o'clock now.
Yeah.
And the DS will be here at 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
Yeah? Is that okay?
Good.
Good. Good job he's got a good handle on times these days. Apologies for the lighting being rubbish in this room. I'm going to put my arm up here like this because it's... Oh, hold on. This t-shirt's inappropriate for the vlog. It's from a TV show. I don't actually want to do that to society. If you know what the TV show is, you know what it says on the bottom of the shirt. But because this is a family-friendly vlog, I need to cover up what it says at the bottom of the shirt. Anyway, it was a freebie that I got in a loot crate or something at some point. So I explain it that way.
I see.
Despite that little interlude, a little interruption with the DS earlier on, we are going to carry on with the vlog we originally had planned, which isn't a normal following us around the house, following us around the town while we do stuff vlog. For two reasons. Firstly, because today has been the biggest day in Operation Sort the Messy House Out. We've basically been tidying our bedroom, haven't we, today? We've been going through all the clothes that we've accumulated over the years. I mean, when was the last time we sorted through our clothes properly?
Last time.
So, like 2-3 years ago, probably. I've managed to get myself down to maybe 20 or 25 t-shirts rather than the 60 or 70 that I had. She's got piles like this.
I am a girl.
I know.
Because some of my outfits require 2 tops.
It means nothing to me. That's not the main reason though, because the main reason is we want to start doing these. We talk to you about something to do with Andy or some kind of autism issue. We do these about once a week now. We did one last week as a kind of prelude to the Q&A where we talked about why he wasn't in a mainstream school. And today builds on what we talked about a little bit yesterday and also what happened earlier with his DS. And that's about his obsessions, his obsessive tendencies, and our suspicions that he's actually got quite a chunk of OCD in him, of obsessive compulsive disorder, which hasn't been diagnosed, but it is on our list of things to talk to his doctor about next time we go in.
It's on the lower end of the issues with him, so we completely forget that side of him because we're always on the main issues with his medication and behaviour, so that kind of gets pushed back a bit.
And it's also difficult to, and this came out in the comments from yesterday's video as well, it can be really difficult to identify whether something that he's doing is just a result of his autism or whether there is some obsession, some OCD behind it. And a lot of the time it can be quite hard to tell, but there are some very obsessive behaviours that he has that we suspect indicate more towards OCD than autism, and I think they probably need to be identified separately by the doctor so that we can put separate treatments in place, whatever that might be, whether that's...
Well, his main paediatrician's quite hard to talk to, isn't she? It's a 10-minute appointment and you try and get all the bullet points in and them kind of things just slip off.
But I mean, a good example of like what I would class as a non-autism obsession is the fact that he constantly has to have that door shut. The door to the living room, the little catch that holds it shut is broken, and I don't do DIY, she doesn't do DIY. It's been like that for years. So anytime anyone opens the door on the other side of the room, or if the window's open, or if someone just passes through it and sort of pulls it to behind them, it doesn't shut it properly, it'll pop open a little bit and it'll be open like that much. And even if it's just open that much, he'll demand that the door is shut. Shut the door, mummy, shut the door, mummy.
Yeah. Every day.
We'll tell him to do it himself, and he won't like it. He wants the person who's gone through it to shut it, or he wants the person who's nearest to it to shut it. But just being pushed to isn't enough. It has to be perfectly closed, and if it opens up slightly again, he has to have it shut back up, and he won't be able to. You can't just say no. Just leave it like that.
No, he can't. He can't cope with it.
He'll storm across the room and slam it himself if he has to, and it will set him off into a grump. Then if we don't help him out with it, we are telling him more and more to if you want it shut, go and shut it yourself, and not just no, we're going to leave it as it is. That didn't work at all. But the asking him to go and shut it himself mostly works, but sometimes he's just so caught up in what he's doing, he just needs it shutting, but can't necessarily come away to shut it himself. But he's got loads of these little quirks, hasn't he?
Before we moved up here, I used to get him a fruit shoot from the corner shop, and I'd go and pick him up from school. And
if you're watching him, I don't know if they have fruit shoots in America. We've got a lot of American audience. They're these little bottled drinks, like bottled water with a little cap on the top, fruit drinks. They probably do have them, and they now think I'm an idiot for explaining it.
But they used to have the pull top, didn't they? And this shop used to put their price labels on the paper bit, and he doesn't like that. He made that very clear. Then one day, so I used to take it off, and this time I took it off and it ripped a little bit of the paper. It wasn't like a major rip, it was tiny. So I gave it him and he kept giving me back. I was like, no, here's your drink. And because I ripped it like this tiny little bit.
And you know how these stickers are, you can't get them off. Once there's just a little bit left, there's no getting it off.
Yeah, so I had to go and buy him a new one because that tiny little bit had ripped off. It wasn't the same. It's the same with his crisps at the moment.
Oh, I mean, the crisps was a massive issue earlier in the year. If you go back and look at the vlogs, when he got dangerously low weight earlier in the year, people often ask us about why his diet is so poor, and we'll do a proper video on his diet at some point. But the reason we kind of just let him have free rein to eat what he wants is because, what was it, February this year? January, February time this year? It was certainly earlier this year, when everything was at its worst. He was probably 2 or 3 days away from being admitted to hospital and put in a feeding tube, which would have involved sedation because he wouldn't keep a feeding tube in. Because his weight got dangerously low, he was just refusing all food. And the reason he was refusing all food is because his salt and vinegar Walker's crisps, which have always made up like 70-80% of his diet, changed the packets slightly, but not a typical way that a company might change their packets. They didn't change their logo, they didn't change the colour. They've changed a slight detail on the barcode. To the point, it's just this little change in the wording or the change in...
It's just another little logo on it.
Yeah, there's just this tiny little thing next to the barcode on the back of the packet, and he just absolutely, completely refused to eat the crisps because the packet wasn't right. And it took 2 or 3 weeks of him basically being on hunger strike, searching around local shops, trying to find a packet with the right packet that he would eat.
New, basically.
We'd be emptying the crisps into old packets that we had around.
Yeah, we would.
And I don't even know how it happened. I don't think it was something we necessarily consciously did. He just one day clicked that, if I eat them off a plate, it doesn't matter. So now he is back on crisps again, but he still won't eat them out of the bag. If we're out and about, like we're going to the fair tomorrow, if we go to the fair and he wants something to eat, he won't be able to eat crisps there.
No, but because he's been to the fair before and we've took food, he's got a whole thing.
Oh yeah, he'll have different food, but he wouldn't be able to eat crisps because he can't sit on a bench and eat crisps out of the bag. He can only eat them off the plate. He still completely refuses to eat out of the bag, which he never used to have a problem with before, because they've got this slight thing on the back near the barcode. Crisp bags are just wrong for him now. But yeah, like you say, the whole routine thing, I think that's more of an autism thing than an OCD thing. I think the crisp bag is an OCD thing. It's wrong. The detail is wrong, therefore he doesn't want to do it. Tomorrow, because when he's been to the fair before, he's had a Twix.
He's going to have a Twix.
Tomorrow he's going to have a Twix.
But when I give him a Twix here,
he won't eat Twix at home. So... all his little quirks. A few years ago, his beverage of choice was Pepsi Max. He is back on Pepsi Max again at the moment because they've gone back to how they used to be. But I think it was during Euro 2016, or maybe the World Cup 2 years before. They started putting footballers' faces on the side of the cans of Pepsi, and he doesn't like faces.
No.
We've got mugs that he takes out the room if he sees them because they've got faces on. My MacBook has got a couple of cartoon characters on it, and there have been times where there was a time not long after I got my MacBook, and I'm a loser and covered it in stickers. I came downstairs one morning, so I just left it on the desk. I came downstairs one morning and he jammed it down the side of the radiator. My £2,500 computer had been jammed down the side of the radiator because it had a couple of cartoon characters with eyes on the front. But Pepsi Max cans for like 2 or 3 months while the football was on had footballers on it, and he wouldn't drink. He took to drinking water out of the bathroom tap because he won't use a cup. But drinking water out of the bathroom tap was all he did until we managed to shift him over to Diet Coke. It was caffeine-free Diet Coke we moved him onto. But it's only now that they don't have the footballers on the Pepsi Max again that it will go back to it. So I don't know. Let us know what you think. We're not medical professionals. All we know is what we've seen on other YouTube videos and what we've read and
it's
the research that we've done.
It's like sometimes when he'll go out the room, not all the time, but if I'm sat over there, he'll come over and knock my leg with his knee 3 times and then he'll walk away. But he has to do it, or he'll touch the side of the door 3 times. Yeah, it's just all these weird.
There used to be a thing that he doesn't do so much anymore, but he used to always turn the TV off when he left the room. He wouldn't be able to leave the room without the TV being turned off, even if there was other people still in the room watching the TV and he was just going to the toilet. If he left the room, that TV's going off because he's not in the room anymore. And it is difficult without a diagnosis of it to know, well, how much of this is OCD, how much of it is autism. We would be really interested in your views if you've had similar things with your kids, or if you happen to be an expert in these areas. It's something we're going to raise next time we've got a doctor's appointment for him. But I think some of this indicates, based on the reading and research I've done, indicates more towards OCD than to autism, and that'll be just another thing to add to the list with the autism and the pica and developmental delay, and I mean the list goes on and on. So just another ailment to add to the list.
But he got his DS back.
Yeah, I don't think we talked about that in the video, did we? Bless him, the taxi driver. What an absolute... I'm glad you mentioned that. There'd been no resolution to the first 2 minutes of the video. Absolute legend of a taxi driver. Drove back. Still in his uniform. Still with a smile on his face. Like an hour and a half after he left the first time. So he's done some serious miles. Couldn't have got home until like 6:30, 7 o'clock after he'd dealt with us. And just dropped it off. Said it was an absolute pleasure. Wouldn't want him to go without it. What a lovely, lovely man. What do you get taxi drivers as presents? You can't really get them a bottle of wine, can you? Because they're driving. No. What do you do? Like a box of chocolates or something? Because the man deserves a thank you, because he's gone completely out of his way on a Friday evening to basically save our weekend. Because if he hadn't have had that DS, not only would he be in full-on meltdown all weekend, we wouldn't have been able to go to the fair, which he looks forward to all year, because he wouldn't have the DS to film it with. And this fair, it's only on 1 week a year, and from Sunday, when he'll start saying Goose Fair in October again, because he'll be ready to go back, because he absolutely loves it.
But since he's been home, that's all he's been watching, is Goose Fair.
Oh yeah, full on obsessed.
He thought we were going tonight, bless him.
Yeah.
And we're like, no,
so
tomorrow.
Excited.
He's even got to the thing where he's going to go to school then fair. He thinks it's school tomorrow. Maybe we've been, because we went after school, but...
Yeah, we went after school last year.
he's like, go to school then fair.
Even though he wasn't at school.
I know. But he thinks it's school, bless him. But no, we're going to do some jobs and then toddle off there in the evening. So,
let us know down in the comments what you think about our current diagnosis predicament. And, I mean, is it even something we should be raising with the doctor? Is it just one of those things that kids with autism will go through and we just need to accept that it's just what he does?
Yeah, I think it would be nice to have a diagnosis, but I don't think it'll change anything.
No, I'm not expecting it to change something. It would be nice to know where the line between autism and other issues is, because then you deal with them in different ways. I mean, if it's a thing of, I don't know, for me, if it's an autism thing, then it's just an autism thing. If it's an OCD thing, is that something that can be managed or controlled better, or is that, I don't know, don't really know anything about OCD. I might be being really offensive to people who've got OCD, but don't know. From based on my experiences as a teacher when there's students with OCD, it's not a right. This is an absolute no. It's you have to tread carefully and negotiate with them and help them through stuff. It's not a case of just don't do it. Whereas with certain issues around his autism, you know that let's just not push it. There's stuff you push and there's stuff you don't push,
Yep.
and we want to know where we should be pushing and where we should just be leaving it alone. And I think that's really what we want to get to the bottom of. What do we need to prod and poke at, and what do we leave well alone? If you've enjoyed today's video, please make sure you pop a like on there for us. Subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see more, and thank you very much for watching.